Welcome back to The Explainer, everyone. Today, we're diving into an incredibly profound story of tragedy, loss, and ultimately, redemption. It's a true life lesson about what it actually means to lose absolutely everything, only to find yourself again in the most unexpected way you could possibly imagine. We're going to trace the journey of a solitary soul through total despair, a literal forced reset, and the undeniable healing power of human compassion. But before we get into the heavy details, I really want you to ask yourself something. What if you could just completely erase a past full of mistakes? I mean, we all have regrets, right? But what if the slate was wiped entirely clean? And even more radically, what if the absolute worst tragedy of your life was actually the exact moment you were reborn? Keep that in the back of your mind as we walk through the life of a young boy who experienced exactly that. Section 1. A solitary child's tragedy. Let's look at this staggering accumulation of loss. The sheer weight of his early abandonment is honestly staggering. Even before he was born into his small village, his father passed away. His mother really struggled against extreme poverty to raise him. But by the time he was just 2 years old, the hardship just became way too much. She remarried and left him in the care of his grandmother. Now, for 2 brief years, she was his entire universe. But when he was 4, fate struck again. His grandmother passed away. So by age 4, he was entirely orphaned, a solitary little boy reliant completely on the mercy of strangers. Section 2. The Descent into Darkness. A youth filled with anger. As you can imagine, his childhood basically became defined by wandering. He bounced from place to place, essentially surviving as a street child on the inconsistent charity of others. Without any real family guidance, his internal world became incredibly turbulent. The psychological toll was heavy, Deepening feelings of deprivation and this profound loneliness just metastasized into a growing rage against the world. He felt completely robbed of a life, and that unchecked anger, it really began to dictate his choices. That unchecked pain led to a rapid downward spiral. His internal rage started manifesting as outward destruction. First, he fell right into bad company, finding this kind of twisted sense of belonging with the wrong crowd. Desperate for affection, he ended up chasing these fleeting, fake love affairs. And to numb the lingering pain of his childhood, he fell into severe substance abuse and addiction. Finally, he turned to theft and crime just to fund it all. Almost every bad habit society had to offer became a core part of his identity. Which brings us to Section 3, the accident and erasure. A sudden, violent reset. Just when it seemed like his life was entirely, completely lost to the darkness, the unthinkable happened. One day, while wandering the streets heavily intoxicated, a fast-moving car struck him. The impact caused a severe head injury, and bystanders rushed him to the hospital. He slipped into a deep coma, literally hovering on the brink of death for days. It really looked like the abrupt, tragic end to a chaotic life. But when he finally opened his eyes, the young man had suffered total amnesia. He completely lost his memory. He forgot his name, he forgot his past, he forgot his sins, and, perhaps most miraculously, he forgot his loneliness. The agonizing memories of his parents, his grandmother, his addiction, his rage, they were entirely gone. The heavy burdens of his past had just been severed in an instant. The narrative actually describes this exact moment as his second birth. Because think about it, it wasn't just about surviving an accident. It was a profound erasure of his solitary sinful history, a literal rebirth. His slate was wiped completely clean, allowing a deeply broken person to start over entirely unburdened. He was basically a blank canvas. But as we all know, a blank canvas needs the right artist, right? The environment he woke up in was going to completely determine his fate. Section 4. A healing compassion and the soil for a new life. So while he was recovering in the hospital, he was placed under the care of this deeply kind doctor. And when this doctor learned that the boy had absolutely no one in the world, his heart just broke. But he didn't just hand him some medicine and send him on his way. He offered genuine love, respect, and a real sense of belonging, things this boy had literally been starved of since he was 4 years old. To give him some purpose, the doctor gave him a humble job cleaning the hospital and assisting the patients. Surrounded by all this healing, the young man learned the true meaning of humanity and empathy. And with the doctor cheering him on, he even began studying the medical sciences himself. The transformation here is just absolutely incredible. Think about his first life. It was completely defined by anger, loneliness, addiction, and crime. But his second life? He became devout, deeply compassionate, and incredibly dedicated. As the years passed, that lost, angry youth transformed into a highly successful, upstanding human being. In fact, he dedicated the rest of his life to serving others, specifically focusing all his efforts on helping orphaned and abandoned children, kids who were just like he once was.
Section 5, the ultimate life lesson. Let's distill the wisdom here.
The protagonist of our story used to share this really specific, beautiful thought with people later in his life. He'd say, "Allah never closes a door forever for anyone. Sometimes an accident doesn't come to destroy, but to give a new life." I think that just brilliantly captures how divine intervention, or the universe, whatever you want to call it, so often disguises a fresh start as a totally devastating tragedy. What looked like a fatal car crash was actually the sudden violent breaking of his chains. And the moral of his journey is beautifully simple, isn't it? No matter how dark the past is, a good guide, genuine love, and the right path can completely change a life. The amnesia cleared his mind, sure, but it was the doctor's human compassion and guidance that actually rebuilt his soul. It just goes to show you, human connection can conquer even the absolute darkest of histories. So as we wrap up this explainer, take a second to consider your own setbacks. Think about the doors that have slammed shut on your face, the losses you've endured, or maybe the mistakes you feel define you. Ask yourself, are they truly endings, or are they actually just the harsh, misunderstood beginnings of your very own rebirth? Because sometimes losing everything is literally the only way to find out who you were truly meant to be. Thanks so much for joining me for this incredible story today. Keep learning, keep reflecting, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.